Hi, in this video, we're going to see the changes for the new TOEFL 2023 that started on July, at the end of July. So this is August, so these changes are already taking place in the internet-based modality for the TOEFL exam. Okay, this video is going to be short and sweet. We're going to go straight to the changes. So what is the new format? The new format goes like this, is considerably shorter and to me easier. So the reading section is going to have only 20 questions and is going to last 35 minutes. The listening section is going to be 28 questions and is going to last 36 minutes. The speaking section is 4 tasks, 4 questions, and is going to be 16 minutes long. And the writing section is going to have 2 tasks and is going to be 29 minutes long. For duration, just duration, the speaking and writing are pretty much exactly the same as they used to be before July 2023, but the reading and listening are shorter than before 2023. In total, you take 2 hours and 6 minutes, including the break, because before, without the break, sorry, it's like 1 hour and 56 minutes. Remember, you can finish your exam before the time if you speed up your reading and your listening. You cannot speed up your speaking and your writing. Okay, so what are the descriptions for each sections? If this is your first time taking the TOEFL, this is completely new to you. So this is like basically a very short introductory description. In the reading section, you pretty much read passages and respond the questions. In the listening, you're going to answer questions about audios, okay? And the audios are going to be of 2 types. They're going to be lectures where there's a professor in a class giving information about a very specific topic, or about classroom discussions where there are people talking. The speaking is going to be 4 different tasks. There is 1 task that is going to ask about a familiar topic, about your opinion, and then the other remaining tasks are going to be material that you read and you listen to. And finally, the writing section is going to ask you to write 2 short writings, one about a mix of reading a passage and listening to a class about that passage, that topic, and the second one about your opinion about a very specific topic. I'm doing this overview quite short because I have a specific video I'm going to put in the description where I go into the actual content of each of these sections. I don't want to really do a new video because I think you can still use the old videos. So we're going to compare the old and the new format in case you've been practicing for the old format. So the old reading was between 54 and 72 minutes because it used to have between 30 and 40 questions. This is no longer so. Now you're only going to have 20 questions. In the old TOEFL, remember, you could have the extra section. That's why you could have 40 questions in the reading or 39 questions in the listening. This doesn't apply to the new TOEFL. So in the new TOEFL, you only have 20 questions for the reading and only have 28 questions for the listening. The break and the task for the speaking and writing remains the same. Now, about the changes. Everything that you see in red is a change. Everything you see in blue remains the same. So the reading, again, it changes because now you have 2 passages instead of 3, and I have 20 questions instead of 30. In the listening, the changes are also about length. You have fewer questions and you have fewer lectures, and you only have 3 lectures, meaning 3 audios in which there's a professor speaking, and 2 conversations, 2 audios in which there are people talking. The speaking is exactly the same, there is no change. And the writing, the very first question of the writing is exactly the same, but the second question of the writing has changed. In my opinion, it hasn't changed that much, which means if you have already been studying for your old TOEFL, whatever you learn, you are going to apply it to the new TOEFL. Okay, don't let anybody tell you that you have to completely change what you've been doing so far. So, how am I going to study? Let's say you have a lot of material for the old TOEFL. If you have a lot of material for the TOEFL, you can use the exact same material for theory and practice exercises for reading, listening, and speaking. Actually, also for the writing task 1, right? For the first question of the writing. Okay, you can use the exact same material. Now, when you want to do practice tests, if you don't want to buy any practice tests or you don't have access to a lot of information, you can still use the exact same practice test for the old TOEFL. All you have to do is to crop it and do only what the new TOEFL contains, which means if your old TOEFL practice test contains 30 questions for reading, just do 20. Just do the first two passages. If your old TOEFL practice test contains 39 questions for listening, just do 28. It's not a big deal. You can still use the same material. You just have to adapt. You don't have to buy anything new, especially if you already bought like a program or something. You don't have to spend more money on it. Okay, you can adapt to what you already have. So recommended material, as always, for reading, I still use the same book I've been using because the question types haven't changed. So it's the complete guide to the TOEFL. I'm gonna put the links in the description. For listening, I'm still using mostly YouTube videos. Okay, for most of my students, I still recommend that you use YouTube videos. For speaking, YouTube videos. For writing, YouTube videos. There's a lot of material on YouTube. You don't really have to buy anything. If you want to buy, let's go ahead and buy it, but there's a lot of material for free. Okay, so recommended tutor. Of course, I recommend myself, but if you don't want to hire me, you can find a convenient tutor. Just my advice is that you focus on two things. One, you have to feel comfortable. Doesn't mean that you have to be lazy, but you have to be comfortable with the person you're working with, and be careful of not wasting class time. Like whatever you can do on your own, do it on your own. Use your tutor as a guide. Just use your tutor for checking the mistakes, for explaining things that you can definitely not do alone. But most of the work here, you have to do it alone. Finally, something that you have to remember, I said this on my first videos, that you have to remember that TOEFL is just an exam. It's just a test. It's measuring how well you can practice or you can answer whatever they are specifically asking from you. Okay, it is a measure of your English level, but in a very specific way. So you have to study, okay, and you have to go understand the TOEFL. Okay, what TOEFL is not, it is not the ultimate proof of your English level. Okay, which goes both ways, which means you can have like a very good English level, never study for a TOEFL, and then have a bad score, because it's not about how good your English is, it's about how good you can perform in the exam. Also, you can have a not so good English level, but then study really hard and then get a good score in TOEFL. Because again, it's not a proof of your English level, it's a proof of how well you do in a test. And finally, remember, it's not as hard as it seems. This is something that you have to remember because there's a lot of a psychological aspect to the TOEFL and you don't want to fall for it. Finally, here's my website when you can see more information. You can also see my old videos about the TOEFL. I'm not going to change them. You can just go through the old videos. I explain question type by question type. I go over everything. I may do one extra video for the new writing question, but everything else remains the same. So that's it. Please like, you can comment if you have any questions, and see you on the next video. Bye.